Welcome back to Never Shut Up. It's your boy Marcellus Wiley. About to talk about a story that has layers to it. Man, I don't think any team is dealing with more thought bubbles than the San Francisco 49ers right now, trying to figure out what to do in this draft, what to do this offseason, and most importantly, what to do at the most important position at quarterback. Because there's conversation around Trey Lance. Trade talk rumors around Trey Lance. Reportedly, the 49ers are getting those trade calls about Trey Lance. Why? Because every team out there that has a need at quarterback is sitting there looking at the 49ers like, oh, y'all might have an abundance of resources at the most important position, right? Now, this got complicated, obviously, with Brock Purdy getting hurt in the NFC Championship game, and then you realize, uh-oh, that UCL injury, is he going to come back as expected? So the 49ers, if he didn't get hurt in that game, win or lose, Brock Purdy was going to be the starter this year. But because they lost and he got hurt, you got to just be prudent in this situation. You got to cover your own ass. You got to be smart. So you got to have an insurance policy. Now, that's Trey Lance. People like, Trey Lance is the insurance policy? Yeah, that is crazy. Costly insurance. Why? Y'all remember what they did to get the number 3 overall pick in Trey Lance? They had to give up to the Dolphins the 12th overall pick, a 3rd round pick, and first rounders in 2022 and 2023. It's like 3 firsts and a third, y'all, basically. They gave up a load to get Trey Lance. And who has Trey Lance been? A guy who in 2 years has thrown, 102 passes for the 49ers, and seems like he needs that breath of fresh air, as they always say. Basically, that means we've kind of grown a little sour on you or a lot sweeter on somebody else, Brock Purdy. But the only thing that's keeping them in limbo is Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy threw him a curveball by saying this, quote, he's not really sure, honestly, if he'll play in 2023. What? Hadn't heard that report until I did a deep dive into this one. So, with a timetable of him supposed to come back right around training camp and be ready for this season, here's a guy who knows he has some security now. Went from Mr. Oh my God, irrelevant to now I got some form of security to now, should I play if I'm not perfect? Can't put bad film out there because you can't explain the bad film to whoever's evaluating them. So Brock Purdy is probably getting some sage advice like, dog, if you are not perfect, do not rush back. Do not interrupt this momentum because you didn't play a ton, but you played enough where you have people believing in you. Do not go out there and mess that up, because if you mess it up, nobody want to hear about your damn elbow. So that's the conundrum that they are in right now. And it's crazy because Trey Lance finds himself in this position, because I'm going to talk about the business and the politics of this move right here. A couple years ago, man, they were so pumped on Trey Lance. They were like, even with Jimmy G, who's off injured, but did take him to a Super Bowl, we good, right? And then Trey Lance comes in, gets hurt in these 2 years. All of a sudden, we had to go back to Jimmy G. We went to Brock Purdy. And now Trey Lance finds himself on the outside, basically looking in. Him and who? Drums? Sam Darnold. And those guys right now are the 2 quarterbacks getting the most reps, the first team reps for the 49ers. And guess what those reps are? Empty calories, empty reps. Why? Sam Darnold is not going to play for this team. He's not going to start. He'll come in case of injury. And Trey Lance, they really want you gone, but at the same time, they're only holding on to you to see what Brock Purdy is doing. So all this time right now is truly a waste, if you're being real, if the 49ers get their way, for Trey Lance. Trey Lance could be on another team, learning that playbook, learning that system, getting those quality reps. But instead, he's just there as a placeholder to see how Brock Purdy faces this situation. Isn't that crazy? Like, you went from being the man they gave a king's ransom to now the dude they like, just keep the seat warm until we figure out Brock Purdy. In 2 years, he started, 4 games? And that's the decision that's been made. It's crazy. What's crazier is how the 49ers have escaped a lot of criticism with this and not another team in a similar situation, the New York Jets, with Zach Wilson. Why? Because Zach Wilson has played more than Trey Lance. So now we look at the Zach Wilson situation and everybody got jokes. Everybody clowned the Jets organization for what they did. But they ain't even give up as much as these 49ers did to get Trey Lance. But they take the brunt of the criticism. While the 49ers, maybe because they went to a Super Bowl before Trey Lance, I don't know why, maybe because they're more likable than the Jets, but somehow, some way, we're not watching them fumble this situation. The situation went from going to a Super Bowl with Jimmy G, committed to Jimmy G in that long-term extension, to him always hurt, strike one. Then, okay, we're going to give up everything to go get Trey Lance. He's hurt and he doesn't play. And let's be real, didn't show us that much. Strike two. Then we're going to go get Mr. Irrelevant, which means we didn't really think that much of him. But hey, he's the last pick of the draft. Let's grab him. He turns out to show us something. Now we're holding our breath for him while he's injured. That could be strike three. But I don't hear anybody yelling strike when they say the 49ers. They're kind of like just holding their breath with the 49ers in high hopes that everything will work out. Why? Because they do have a Super Bowl roster. Why? Because we do believe in their potential. But why aren't we giving them the same hell we're giving other teams like the Jets or even other teams who are in better situations than them? It's kind of weird, right? So I'm just going to watch this all play out because my forecast is Trey Lance will be gone. My forecast is Brock Purdy will miraculously or somehow, some way find himself on that football field to continue with this positive momentum. And then let's see these 49ers roll. Because I ain't going to lie, when Brock Purdy was in there, that team looked special. That team looked silly. But right now, in this offseason, with all these thought bubbles and decisions to make, I think the 49ers organization looks a little silly.